So this a comment that we got a minute ago, I thought we could maybe all look at for a minute. I think this is a great point. So I don't know how to say that name. Peronist, we'll go with that. Says NDAs should be an instant red flag for current members. Religious organizations must be more transparent. So yeah, I mean, considering everything that's going on here, I mean, this situation that is even calling for a live video like this, I mean, what does that, I don't know, I don't have a specific question, I guess. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I mean, a church that, for whatever reason, feels the need to try to get its members to sign non-disclosure agreements, that when critics speak up, whether former members or not, online, I mean, what does that, obviously this is something we've talked about before, but how does that kind of strike you guys as you kind of stop and consider that this coming from a church, coming from a religious organization that claims to be, having the one true church of God, the ones that have the truth of the Bible figured out. How does that strike you guys? Anybody feel free to chime in.
Well, I can speak from just a general member perspective. So I do want to say that I don't think it was every church that was asked to sign, or where members were asked to sign NDAs. I think it was select locations, obviously one of them being the East Coast branches. But because I was in the church for 10 years and I was never asked to sign an NDA. Had I been asked, I can tell you that I definitely would have signed it without a lawyer present, and I wouldn't have thought twice. Because I mean, your mindset when you're there and they tell you to do something, you just automatically do it because all your trust is in them. And so, if I had been asked to sign one, I would have signed immediately. I would have signed it and not even thought twice about it. I don't know what other churches other churches other than the WMS. I don't know if a standard church has NDAs, but I will say that, if the WMS is the true church and they have nothing to hide, why would they need members to sign NDAs? That would be my question. So,
let me just say a quick word about NDAs. NDA is a broad term, and there are NDAs and there are NDAs. I find it pretty hard to conjure up in my mind an NDA that a church would issue, any sort of an NDA that a church could issue that would not seem to be a red flag to one degree or another. But the fact is that the NDA that we had to fight on behalf of Raymond said, in effect, you as a member cannot say anything about the church to anyone forever. It could not be any more broad. You cannot mention the church to anybody for the rest of your life. So, talk about transparency. That's a concrete wall surrounded by a lead wall surrounded by a moat. You can't get more do not disclose than that. But as I say, even if you water that down a little bit, as Kelsey just said, it's when you're in the grips of a cult like WMS, it is very likely that something is put in front of you and you sign it. And you don't think about whether or not it is right. You trust the people who are asking you to do it. You don't think that you need a lawyer. That's certainly what happened with Raymond. I mean, he signed his NDA, and fortunately, within a year of signing it, he recognized what a crock the whole church was. And then we first had a fight to get the NDA released. But NDAs by churches, they seem to be oil and water. As Kelsey said, I can't imagine why a church or I guess it was the person who asked the question said, transparency does seem to be the order of the day for a church that has nothing to hide and thinks that it has some truth. If a church has the truth, why wouldn't they want everybody to know their truth openly and to spread their truth? But to spread their truth not in a way where, well, come into the back room here, we'll tell you our truth, but now you can't say anything to anybody, which is in effect what WMS did. You know, you would get dragged from a college campus drag. You would be seduced from a place like a college campus. You would be baptized before you could say, my name is John Smith. And once you were baptized, you would immediately start getting indoctrinated. And part of that indoctrination built up very quickly to, a kind of mental control where they would tell you, well, now you shouldn't really be talking to anybody who isn't in the church because they're all Satan and they're going to lead you down the wrong path. So just stick with us. It's just a preposterous way for an organization that claims to be religious and honorable and God-fearing and all the rest of what it is that most churches are. It boggles the mind, which is why I have found it both fascinating and life affirming to be fighting the WMS for as long as I have.
Mm-hmm. That's Michelle. Sorry, I looked like you wanted to say something. I don't.
Yeah. So, Peter, you won't probably know about this, but back when the cases first started, there was an agreement they had me sign once when they gave me my first copy of the sermon book. And they said, well, this is just saying that, if you, for whatever reason, you leave, you're going to give us the book back and you're not going to use it for, what you're not supposed to use it for, something generalized like that. So, they're like, here's the book, and just like sign for it kind of thing. Right. So, yeah, of course I signed it. I was never given a copy. And like at the end of the agreement, there was a paragraph that basically was like an NDA sort of thrown in there, like a separate clause. And I think it was like a year or two after they sued me that they were like, aha, look what we have. She violated this agreement that they had completely forgotten that I signed, and I had forgotten also. And the judge found that ridiculous. She said the fact that you didn't even remember that, you had this document in your possession proves that you didn't actually think that it was enforceable or that you plan to pursue anything. And also, you can't call it like something agreement about the sermon book and then have like a paragraph at the bottom that's about something completely different. So the judge ruled that, she threw that out really early on in the case. But just to make the point that they'll try to sneak it in there somehow. So as members, you got to kind of be careful and read everything that you're asked to sign. But yeah.
Well, Michelle, you said that you think I may not know about this. I mean, I'll admit that my memory is not nearly as good as yours about all of this stuff. And as I get older, my memory about most things is not as good as many people's. But that one I do remember.
Okay.
I remember all the details of the fact that you signed it and how they tried to pull it out of a hat and how the judge said, no, guys.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a misleading use of that NDA.
Right.
So it's mind-boggling, like you said, that they try to have their members sign NDAs in the first place. But then, Michelle, what you're saying here just takes it to a whole other level, because it's not only that they're trying to get members to sign NDAs, but they're sticking it into these documents that have, seemingly nothing to do with that. And so they're trying, like you said, trying to not only get members to sign NDAs, but they're trying to sneak it in. It's just so much deception and coercive tactics that it's just, I think, Peter, you said it right when you just said mind-boggling. It's like, what else can you say about it? It's just, it's something else.
I mean, the document that says here, we're gonna give you a sermon book or something like that, and you have to promise that if you leave, you will return it. That's almost not an NDA. That's really a loan agreement. It's saying we're going to loan you something, but we just want you to know that it's only on loan. You can't keep this. You have
It's
to
a
give it
rental.
back. That's not nearly as suspicious as and never speak of this again.
Yeah.